Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, ready to get down to brass tacks with the great debates. And this time, it's going to be Scream 4. Kills with me and Steven from Craving Something Scary. Guys, what's up? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's going great, man. Glad to be here and excited
Yeah.
to talk about my favorite sequel.
All right, man. Absolutely. Well, for you guys that are here, first of all, a blanket hello to everyone, and we appreciate you guys joining us here tonight. Just to say hello to a few of you guys here, we got Super Tenor in the house. What's going on, man? Saying I really liked Scream 4 when I saw it in the theater. It's dropped to last place for me on subsequent viewings, though. Still good, but my least favorite. Ooh, okay.
Hmm?
Well, let's see what scores you give to the categories. That's going to be interesting. Let's see. We got Paula in the house. What's going on, Paula? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. RJ in the house. Thank you, thank you. He said, "Great Scream debates in 2 nights. How amazing! Thank you so much. Hey, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. Glad to have you here." We got Russell manning the chat. What's up? Reminding people, smash the like button. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate that, bro. All right. And we got Mayday in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing
Hey.
well.
Hey, man.
Gina, what's going on? Saying hi to everyone and snuggles from Ziggy. That's so cute. Good old
Love
Ziggy.
that.
All right. And T Parker in the house. Love these debates and Scream 4. Awesome. We appreciate that. And again, guys, as we go through these great debates, the idea is getting a cumulative score for each film. And that's how we're going to ultimately rank the franchise. And it's the same thing that we did with the Halloween franchise, the same thing we did with the Elm Street franchise. So if you haven't checked out those, we do have the playlist for the great movie debates, has every single stream there, including the ranking episodes. Definitely check that out if you haven't, and it definitely helps out the channel as well. All right. Oliver, what is up? All right,
Hey.
good to see you.
Hey,
Tatum's in the
Oliver.
house.
Hey.
Yeah, very cool to have you guys here. Hope that you guys enjoy this conversation. So, what we're going to do, just to explain this for some of the folks that may not have seen one of our great debate episodes, what we're going to be doing, Kill, Stephen, and I, we're going to be giving a score to each category that is picked by the random wheel. Okay, we're going to have 10 scored categories, and I believe there's 15 or 16 choices, and I'll go over those in a second. So the wheel is basically going to determine what is going on. So let's first tell you guys what we have for possible categories that we will score. We've got, as a talking point, we've got the best scene and also the worst scene. Those are talking points for us if it is picked by the wheel. And we also have a possibility of getting the directing as a category, the story, the kills, the cinematography, the reveal, which is again one of our newer categories, picked specifically for the Scream franchise, of course. We've got the opening scene as a category. We have Ghostface. We have motive, which is another new category specifically for the Scream franchise. We've got characters. We've got the mystery factor, another new category. The final girl, and of course, the it factor. Okay, so those are the categories which we are going to have the wheel choose randomly, which to me, like Kill, and I know I've said this a lot, but to me, I think that's kind of what makes this fun
Mhm.
because we don't know what's going to be picked.
Right.
And, there are some movies where the wheel is going to work in their favor, and sometimes it may not work in its favor. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, but ultimately, I think it helps to score these films beyond just our own bias. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the way I look at it. I don't. What do you think of that? I mean, because to me, that's kind of the hidden ingredient in all of this.
Yeah, spin the wheel, make a deal, and you never know what that deal is going to be. Look,
Right.
it could be a Carpenter movie and the music never comes up.
Right.
Now, if a music title does come up, question does come up, that's definitely going to bode well for it, but it may never come up. So you just never know.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely, man. No doubt about it. All right. Now, real quick, too, in the chat, we got a couple other people jumping in. Welcome to the chat. We're going to begin very soon. We got Sticky in the house saying Scream 4 is in my top 3. All right. Well, welcome to the chat. We hope you enjoy the conversation. And again, if you guys haven't hit the like button, please do. Jose's in the house. What's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, man. Very cool to have you here. Okay, so let's bring up the random wheel, and then we're going to pick our first category. All right. So here we have the wheel. We've got, I believe it's about 14 or 15 possibilities. All right. And we are going to spin. Of course, we've got our final girl, Sydney, right there in the middle. Looking a little traumatized right there. So let's start this thing off. Kill, you're going to start this category off for us.
Mhm.
And I'm also going to explain the actual score possibilities too. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh.
We're starting off on an interesting foot. Now, listen, I just want to say this too to you guys in the chat. Let us know what you think about these categories and score them. We'll try to get to as many people as we can, but we won't get to everyone. If you send in a super chat, there's 2 things going to happen. Number 1, we're going to make sure that we get to your comment and or question. And also, it definitely helps to support the channel. But we also will take that score as official. Okay. Now, it's 1 to 5, 1 being absolutely horrible, 5 being a masterful level. Okay. And we can also have 0.5s involved as well. So you could do a 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, or 4.5. Kill, what did you think of the opening scene, how it was executed, and what's the score you want to give it?
So real quick, so see, this is exactly like a question like this bodes well for the Scream franchise. Okay. Because they always do some interesting things. And I think this is probably the most interesting one. It's like it's a double trick out, or is it a triple trick out?
It's a double trick out.
Yeah,
it's a double. It's a double. And I mean, it's hilarious that they are talking about real films. Talking about like things like the Saw franchise and kind of bagging on it and whatnot. And and it's so meta and it's so interesting. So many famous celebrities were in it, things of that nature. And this one always sticks out in my brain because I just thought it was just so clever. There's no lying here, man. I gotta go high on this one because I really love this one. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna
I thought it was a lot of fun and just really smart.
Okay. All right. So we got you down for a 4. Real quick, before I get to you, Steven, just to say hey to the rest of the folks jumping in. We got Davey in the house. What's up, Davey? A big fan saying the best sequel in the franchise. All right. Very, very cool. Oracle in the house. What's up, Oracle? We've got Willis in the house. And everyone that's jumping in, thank you for being here. We appreciate the support. All right. So Steven, and thank you, May, for reminding people to hit the like button. We appreciate that as well. Steven, what do you think of the opening scene, how it was executed, and what's the score that you'd like to give it?
I love the opening. I'm telling you what, I get so tired. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I have to respect it if you don't like it, of course. But I get tired. Grows tiresome from so many. And I'm not talking about just in our community. I'm talking about just like in general speaking here. It just bag on that opening of 4. And I'm like, man, wait a second. Think about what Wes did. He did something new, different that had not been done before, because it was original. And I think it was like Kill said, it was just such a great thought. I think it was a brilliant idea. I remember the first time I watched it in theaters. Of course, because of what Scream established as opening scenes prior, I fully expect that first scene to be the real scene. So like, here we go, and then whenever it does the title card for Stab 6, I'm like, no, this is cool. Okay.
Right.
So now we're going to have it. now we go. Here we go. Okay, and then we see that, of course, as Kill said, that the celebrity folks he got in, Kirsten Bell, Anna
Paquin.
Paquin,
Mm-hmm.
and there's the other two I'm completely forgetting from Pretty Little Liars, and the great people that he brought in for
Yep.
that era, the time that we were in. They were super popular.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, we do the second fake out. Stab 7 comes on the screen. I'm like,
Yeah.
Wes is going full court press, man, on
Yeah.
this deal. And then, of course, we have, the actual opening. But I love the opening. I will
Mm-hmm.
stand behind that opening all day long. And even watching it again, like I've seen as many times as I've seen it, I always enjoy it still. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so great. And if you listen to the dialogue of those characters during those pieces, they're absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As Kill said, they're bagging on Saul, and there's a lot of other comments in that just, especially before Anna gets stabbed, she's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's all so predictable. You know what's coming, and it's like bam. I'm like, yeah,
Did you see that
So,
coming?
Did you see that coming? Exactly. And so I'm also going to give the opening for a high score as well. It's so original. There's nothing in the franchise like it. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for originality and execution, as you mentioned, I'm going to go with a 4.5.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right. Okay. We got a 4.5. Okay.
I-
For me, I think that, I echo a lot of what you guys said. I think that it was creative, and Wes played with our expectations. You truly thought
Mhm.
you were watching the real thing with that first fake out. And the other thing about it too was it came quick.
Mhm.
I mean, quicker than a usual opening scene would be. So that was the other shock of it too. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, wait a minute, what? And then of course, fake out. And then I'm like, oh, good one, Wes. And then I'm watching the next one. I'm like, okay. And then when it happens, I'm like, what? And then you get another one. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. So I do think it was very creative. And again, you're talking about the fourth movie. The opening scene had become such an important concept, for
Yep.
this franchise and for horror in general, I think personally.
Mhm.
So for Wes to still find a way to do something that was creative and innovative, got to give him a hell of a lot of credit with that. I echo what you said, Kill. I think I'm going to go with a 4. It's tough. I could go with a 4.5 too. I think I'll go with a 4. It was fantastic. Now, again, when we're talking about opening scenes and we haven't gotten to, some of the other films in the franchise, I will
Mhm.
say that there's certain aspects, put it this way, there's a reason I'm going with a 4.
Okay.
But I think that it's a fantastic opening and I've always enjoyed it. So that's where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very, very
Nice.
cool. All right. We got Oliver who's he says I'm gonna give it a 4.12345 out of 5. Jeez. All right, man. Good one. Uh let's see. Um and Jose is saying, is there only a $5 member tier? No, there's actually I believe we have 5 tiers in total. So all you have to do is just hit the join button next to the subscribe button, man, and you can see the different levels available and so forth. But thank you so much for asking. We appreciate the support. And May, if you could maybe put the link in for memberships, that would be great. Thank you so much. Or Julie, if you're able to. Now, we also have our good friend Rachel, who's coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much,
Hey.
Rachel. All right. She she says, hello all. Rewatched last night in prep. Let's go. Also, -2 points for not using red right hand. Well, there you go. There you go. She's good with a -2.
I guess there could be one flaw in the movie. Okay,
I
fine.
suppose, yeah. I suppose so. So look, Rachel also saying the opening is only great on the first watch because after that the shock is gone. The actual killing isn't that great. So she's going with a 3 out of 5.
Hmm.
Okay.
But it's
All
Anna
right.
Paquin.
Yeah, right. And Kristen Bell. So look,
right.
now Rachel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add that 3 to our official score here. So thank you so much for helping us out with grading it and scoring it. But let's also do a quick clip for Rachel for the super chat, because we really appreciate the support. It helps us out so very much. And Kill, sometimes when you need a little help with getting yourself together, there might be one guy who could step in and make it all work out all right, and it'll look like this.
You're stupid. Never make fun of another person's hair. Hair. It isn't fair. People care about their hair.
There it is.
Wow.
There he is.
Oh goodness.
All right. So Rachel, thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Seriously, Rachel. Okay, and Julie, thank you for putting the link in there for the channel membership. And Jose, let me know if you get to click the link, if it works and all that type of stuff. And we appreciate that. Okay, let's see what we get for our next category on the wheel. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Motive. Okay, so this is again one of our new categories, obviously, because the Scream franchise is packed with motives. Steven, we're going to have you start this one off and then Kill. Steven, what do you think of the motive of Scream 4, how it was executed, and what's the score that you would give 1 to 5?
I have to say the motive, I think I'm a fan of it. Let me say that. I'm a fan of it because generally speaking, the motive in the Scream film is revenge. If you nail it down, if you drill it down, this is not about revenge at all. This is a very different motive. This again, Wes introducing something new. Because we're all expecting, it's going to be a revenge. Because and that would have been okay too, I'm sure. But I love it because not only is that it's different, but it's really speaking. Honestly, this movie speaks more to the pop culture of today than it did when it came out, which is mind-blowing because look at where we are now with the live streaming. Heck, we're live streaming now. I mean, it's a case in point. And it is such a normal thing now for live streaming and in the culture we're in right now. But when this movie came out, this stuff was all new. Their social media was just beginning. If you think about it, wasn't that crazy like it is now.
Yeah.
And the whole streaming and then the motive itself regarding I don't need friends. I want fans.
Right.
It's all, I want to be in the spotlight. She's like, what do you expect me to do? Work? It's like, which by the way, guys, just so you know out there who are not content creators, she would have realized she would have been out of luck because we're all content creators. And believe me, we're still working. So trust me. But sticking with the motive, I think it's really a great motive. And of course, it shows her ultimate selfishness that she kills her partner even. It's like, I'm the sole survivor, she said.
Yep.
And so I can say a lot more about Jill, and hopefully we will as the night goes, I'm sure. But for motive, I'm going to rank this motive as a 4. And I think that it was a great motive. And so I'm really happy with the direction that Wes went with it.
Okay. All right. So we've got you down for a 4. Kill, how about you? What did you think of the motive?
Once again, this is another one of those questions that bodes well for this franchise and this movie in particular. I couldn't have said it better. Essentially, and this is not a dig on the franchise, but it's always like, oh, I was the family pet of the Loomises, and I was the twin brother that was living in a well with the ring girl. you know, and it's so many people that just come out of the woodwork. You know, it's like, I was the nanny, and because he killed someone and went to jail, I couldn't be a nanny anymore. Now I want revenge. It's just a lot of that going on. But
Right.
here, just like what Craven said, you have a young woman that wants celebrity. And she's willing to do anything for it. And that does speak so much to, the things going on now with the liked culture and social media and just everyone needing to be in the limelight. And if you have a regular job, that's lame.
Right.
So I thought the motive was amazing for this one. And I'm so glad this question came up. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 because just with everything, it's once again, it's Wes was ahead of his time. He saw the on the wall, and he was just like, "Hey, we have this young lady that's Sidney Prescott's cousin. She sees what's going on here, and she says it best in the movie. She was like, people don't get famous by their efforts and just being celebrities. They get famous off of bad happens to them." Yeah, definitely a good movie.
Hey,
All
Night.
right.
I'm excuse me. I gotta change my vote. Not my rating.
Okay.
Oh no!
I got to do it, man. It's 4.5. That's where it should be.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Kill just drove it home when I was already thinking. You drove it home, buddy. So I'm like, it's 4.5.
All right. Okay. Well, for me, okay. So, I mean, I'll make it short and sweet. I was going to go with a 4.5 as well. Echoing what you guys were saying, I think it's a really great motive. But what I like so much about the motive is that it ties into Jill so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I won't jump to another category right now, but I'm just saying the fact of what she does, the lengths to what she'll try to accomplish her goal, it fits in with this motive, which is kind of crazy, but yet relevant to today. You know what I'm saying? So I really love how there's a synergy between it all. And that's why I'd give it a 4.5. Again, this is the fourth movie in a franchise, and you're talking about a film that came out in 2011. And at that point, there's been so many whodunits, murder mysteries, horror films, of course. And revenge usually is one of those top spots for a reason or a motive. This wasn't that, but it was still compelling. And again, what Wes was able to do crafting all of this as a director, again, just great stuff. So I'm going with 4.5.
Yes.
All right. Okie dokie. Now, real quick too, in the chat, we've got Super Tenor coming in with a $5 super chat, saying, to be honest, I forgot Wes directed 4. It feels different to me. Feels like a spoof. I need a rewatch, maybe. Sorry, guys.
Ooh,
hey, man. I would definitely say rewatch it and see what you think.
Too.
Yes. I definitely would say rewatch it. But hey, everyone's got that's the thing about Scream, and we've talked about this many times, all three of us. I think Scream in general is such a good franchise as far as the quality of the films. And so that means that you can have people that will enjoy one more than another, and then you talk to someone right beside them and they could be totally flipped.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
So Rachel saying motive is one of my faves. Jill is insane, and I love that she wanted to be the new final girl. She's going with a 5 out of 5. All
nice.
Right.
Nice.
Okay, very cool. Thank you so much, Rachel. We've got you. And we got RJ going with a 4.5 for the motive. We've got T. Parker going with a 5 out of 5, saying way ahead and the most evil of them all, killing your friends and family for fame. There you go.
Yep.
We got Val in the house. That I know, man.
Dude.
Can I? Well, okay, but we may get there. So
I'm sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
it's so hard to not jump, isn't it? It's so hard not to keep going.
It really is, man, because we could go down a rabbit hole so quick, man. Now we got Val in the house. What's up, Val? Good to see you.
Val.
Hope you're doing well. She says, "Ho take. The motive is a 0.5.
Val's just
Oh,
a hater on
no.
4, man. Let's be
She
honest.
doesn't like 4, man.
Come
And
on
look,
now.
Julie
Sheesh,
says,
Val.
sheesh, Val.
That's right,
Right?
Julie.
That might have to be a new tagline. Sheesh, Val. I can almost hear her saying it.
That's
Oh,
great.
man. Val says, sorry, Julie, I'm old, and the internet fame thing to me is just meh. Well, I will say this. Well, here's the thing that's interesting, because I think the three of us were kind of saying something similar as far as the younger generation. And don't get me wrong, I don't like that mindset. So from that perspective, liking the motive for what it is, I don't like that mindset. But the motive, I thought it was so relevant, even more relevant today, maybe, well, obviously, than in 2011, because that's what a lot of the young folk, that's what online life is about, getting those fans, you know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
It's like
So,
they live or die with their likes, how many like their post, and how
yes.
many subscribers or followers they have, and
Yeah.
How
I mean, that can
viral they can
become,
be.
What was
yeah.
that?
I mean, Keel, go ahead, Keel. Sorry.
Oh no, I just said how viral they can be.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
just that it's really crazy. And you also see it like, and I know we've seen it, Night and Kill as well, with a lot of the new creators or people or people that want to do it. You hear them say, "Oh, I mean, I'm going to get a channel, and I'm going to live stream and post videos and get."
Mhm.
And their mindset is that posting a video or two or streaming, you're going to get, you're going to get 5,000 followers on YouTube.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it just, boy, that's a hard lesson to learn because it does not
Right.
happen. That's
Yeah.
not reality. It's just
Yeah.
not.
It's
You
so true,
could
man.
get there. Now you could get there,
Mhm.
but you can tell it's like the people that don't understand it. I know I'm rabbit trailing, sorry, but
That's okay.
like, when you meet someone or you talk to someone and they come at it with that as their end goal,
Mhm.
not the passion for what they're doing, not doing it because if I don't get any likes, I still love doing this, because it's a big difference.
It
And
is.
the people that I found that are successful at doing this, present company included, are people that passion is number one. The
Yeah.
love of what we do reigns supreme. And hey, look, if we get thousands of subscribers, that is a blessing. That's a blessing on
Mhm.
top of it.
Right.
But you know what? If we only had 100 subscribers tonight and Kill, we'd still be having this live stream because we
Right.
love what we're doing.
Right.
Indeed.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And again, that's that mindset. So, like I was saying, I get where Val is coming from in a way, as far
Mhm.
as, the old school mentality wouldn't think of it like that, because I don't think of it the way
Mhm.
that Jill looked at things. But
Right.
I thought it
True.
was an innovative way for Wes to, because all the Scream films are relevant to the time that they came out. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
again, that's where I come from on it. But yeah, it's cool stuff,
Mhm.
man. It's really cool stuff. Real
He
quick too
was
in the
really
chat. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
okay.
I'm sorry, Steven. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Wes was so tapped in to what was going on in the world, in the pop culture.
Oh yeah.
What were the kids? What were the teens and the 20 people in their 20s? What are they into?
Hmm.
And he was so plugged into that you're right. Every movie, honestly, let's talk about Scream. Every Scream movie, especially that came out, was really relevant to the time. And
Hmm.
it just speaks to how aware he was of the world and anyway, and
I
that's
agree.
what makes the meta stuff really great, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, that's what
So
makes it pop, because
yeah.
you realize what time that film came out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's how it was then. So I
Yes.
agree with you, man. Well said.
Sweet.
I wanted also to just say hey in the chat, because we have Polar in the house. What is up, Polar? Saying, yo,
Hey.
Scream 4 is the best. There you
Yes,
go.
it is. Thank you,
Very
Polar.
cool. Yeah,
Yes.
very cool to have you here. And we also have Happy in the house. What's up, Happy? Good to see you, man. Hope you're
Hey.
doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. And I think I'm caught up. And for anyone else that's here, welcome to the chat. Let's go to our next category on the wheel.
I'm excited.
Right? We've gotten 2 good categories so far.
Yes,
Very
we have.
advantageous.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay. All right. Okay, so this will be a talking point. So this won't be a scored category, but a talking point. So, Kill, let's start with you. Just real quick, do you have a scene in the film that you would consider the best or your favorite?
It's a few, but
Mhm.
you know what I always try to do. I really try to go with what first comes to mind,
Mhm.
and it's a Jill scene. It's the turn. It's
Mm.
essentially where she feels she's killed everyone, and she starts essentially doing the scene. You know, she
Mhm.
falls on the glass coffee table.
Yep.
She
Mhm.
holds the knife up and pushes herself into the
Yeah.
Oh
wall.
man.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look.
Invested.
Emma Roberts, I salute you. You are an esteemed actress, and I love everything you're in.
Yes.
Jill is a smart ghost face.
She is.
She
Yep.
is really smart, and she's devious, and she even took out her mom. And but I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when she, is sitting there and she's like, okay, I'm gonna blame the boyfriend,
Mhm.
and she just aces him out. Like
Yep.
there's just she doesn't even bat an eye,
Mhm.
and she stabs, Nev, and we're like, oh my goodness, she stabbed the queen.
Mhm.
Like what?
Right.
What is going on here? And takes out Rory Coughlin, and she's the last person on the board. And she's
Yep.
just looking around. She's like, okay, I got to
Mhm.
make this look good. Let me hold the dead boyfriend's hand up, pull a piece of my hair,
Yep.
take his hand, claw. She's just so systematic about this. And it was
I
just
know.
amazing to watch.
Mhm.
And also just with her acting, when she flips that switch,
Yeah.
she goes from, nice person, like, oh, she survived, to, oh, you're the queen behind all this. So
Mhm.
that whole little scenario in the house where she does all that and then lays down right beside Nev, it's just like, wow.
There
So
you
I,
go.
I love that scene.
All right.
And so we're not giving points though, right?
No, no, no. Not on this
Okay.
one. No, no, no.
Okay.
Steven, how about you? Do you have a scene that you would consider the best or your favorite real quick?
As Kill said, I have a few as well I could pick from.
Mhm.
Of course, the reveal being one of them. But since he did the reveal, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to give as my favorite scene, and it's because I felt this way since when I was in the theater watching the movie for first time. And with Scream 3, and which I love Scream 3, what's another discussion, but it had to be toned down on the
Mhm.
violence for because of what happened with Columbine. They really had to obviously tone it down.
Mhm.
And Wes, I think, did a great job with what he had to work with. But back to 4, whenever I was watching it, and it comes to the Olivia kill scene,
Mm.
and when Ghostface busts out of that closet, stabs her, and then she puts her hand up, he stabs the knife through her hand,
Yep.
which I was like, oh, I'll never will forget how I felt when I watched that. And then he basically disembowels this chick,
Mhm.
and the room is sprayed with blood. I mean, there's blood on every wall. And I remember I said this, and I was thinking this rather in my head. I said, man, Wes is back. He is back with a vengeance, man, because he couldn't do that stuff in 3. And I'm sure we would have
Right.
gotten a lot of that stuff in 3. But
Mhm.
he's like, man, it's a new day, and I'm back. I'm back,
Mhm.
baby. That's what I thought then. I still do.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, there was no doubt that the shackles were off. You know what I mean?
Yes,
They were
they
able to
were.
kind of do what he needed to do. That was a great scene as well. And you guys actually mentioned some of my favorite scenes as well. But another choice that I really enjoyed, and of course, this is another one of my favorite characters, of course, was Kirby, with the
Mhm.
phone call, and of course, she's trying to save Charlie and so forth. And when she's just going through the whole trivia, the horror trivia, and just, I think Hayden what I loved so much about Hayden in this film, not to go off track, but it just it seemed like it was just so natural for her. You know what I'm saying? Like she was this spunky character that was a horror nerd, you know, and it was just so cool to see that. Like as she was in that moment of tension and being distraught, I felt like I was too. And as she's trying to name off the movies and you know, and all of that, I felt like I was in the same position, you know what I'm saying? And that's when you know you're really invested in a character in a moment. So that was an absolutely phenomenal scene, man. And it's such a gut punch, you know, with the twist. And I was just like, no, not Kirby. What are you doing? All right. Real quick in the chat, just to catch up with these guys, just a little bit. We've got Val's coming in. Oh, this is great. The best scene, the lemon squares. There you go. And it's funny because I was going to say some of my other favorite moments were the moments with Gail and Judy and Dewey. Like that, again, somehow, and Stephen, you referenced 3, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but, you know, in 3, we had Jennifer and Dewey and Gail had some great moments as a trio, and of course as duos here and there. Same thing in 4 with Judy and Dewey and Gail. It's just some fun moments, man. And I love the lemon squares. That was just such a great moment. And let's see, what else do we have? Bowler says she took notes from Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. That's great. I'm kicking my own ass. I love that. Good one. Do you mind? I love that. Let's see, who else? We got Melissa in the house. Hey, Melissa. We got Doom in the house. Hollywood guy. Welcome, everybody. Okay. And yeah, Russell, the lemon squares, it was hilarious. It really was. No doubt. Okay. Let's see what we get for our next category on the wheel. Oh, there. Oh, it just went over. All right. We've got the kills. All right. So, Stephen, let's start with you. For the kills in the film, just talking about how they were executed and what you thought of them in general, overall, that is. And what would your score be for the kills in Scream 4?
Yeah, I love these kills. I think they're some of the best that we get in the franchise here and there. Like, and again, doing something different. You know, the knife through the hand. We hadn't seen that before. We you know, the knife to the forehead. I'm like, oh my gosh, Officer Perkins.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, dude, another type of kill we haven't seen. Which, by the way, that scene was all Wes Craven. I'm not going to rabbit trail too far here, but I just want to share. When Wes talked about that scene in an interview, he said, basically in the script, it was just stab Perkins. That was it. And he's the one that decided, I want to do something. So they said the prop guys came over and like, hey, we're going to do a stab scene. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do something different. And he told them what he wanted to do. And the effects people, they all, whatever. And he says, I want to stab him in the forehead. And so, and of course, Wes did what he always did. He verified that could this be done. And they tracked down a case from an ER somewhere where someone was stabbed in the forehead. And, you know, and so he's like, okay, let's go for it. And so this was totally Wes's kill. He designed the whole idea of the forehead kill, but brilliant to me. I thought was amazing. I loved it. I
agree.
So, and then I love the garage kill, man, with Rebecca, the agent. Another one, cat and mouse, just great. And then throwing her off the roof. I'm like, dude, he's down there trying to make people be calm. And like, here we go, bam. Here's the body on the news van. So kills for me are really high for me in the whole franchise for this movie. So, man, my floor is 4, but I feel that I feel like sitting down on a 4.5 couch. So that's going to be my ranking for this. They're so good, all of them, I think.
All right. Okay, so we got a 4.5 for you. Kill, how about you? What do you think about how these kills were executed in the film, and what would be the score you want to give it?
I think the kills in this one are some of the best in the series.
Mhm.
And my issue that I've kind of always had with the Scream films, and even a little bit sometimes with Halloween, is you have a killer that uses a knife and they just kind of do a stab real quick or a slit
Mhm.
real quick and this and that. But when you have, like with the police officer, when you stab a head or something and then they linger,
Mhm.
then they
Mhm.
walking, and it's like it's that
Yeah.
slow death. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa, that to me hits so much harder
Mhm.
because we've had so many movies where it's just a quick, okay, stab, you're dead. But it's like when you do the stab and then they're still kind of talking or like doing whatever they were doing, and it's like and then they
Mhm.
drop. It's like, whoa, to me that makes it linger and it carries more weight.
Yep.
Between that death and the Olivia, the friend,
Mhm.
the neighbor, and just how it they show it, and then a little bit, where Nev goes up there and they show it, but they kind of don't show it.
Right.
It's really smart how they do it.
Yeah.
And I just think all of the kills in here were vicious.
Mhm.
Like with the agent, yeah, you're gonna toy with her stalker in the garage, but
Yeah.
then after you
Yeah.
kill her, you throw her like some garbage. It's like,
Yeah, man.
damn, like that's
Mhm.
hardcore. Look, man, it's so funny that so far my lowest score that I've given has been a 4, but I gotta go 4.5
Yeah, man.
because
Okay.
the kills are mean and vicious.
Okay.
And like they're, Rory and Jill, they're just not holding back.
No, they are
No.
definitely not holding back
No.
whatsoever. It's no
Yeah,
doubt.
so
It's
All
true.
right. So we
And
got a
just real quick,
4.5.
Night, before you give your feedback, if I could, Kill said something that I think rings so true in this whole movie.
Mhm.
Ghostface in Scream 4 seems more mean than
Yeah.
any of them of the whole series.
Mhm.
There's this
Mhm.
meanness. The dialogue from Roger L. Jackson
Yep.
is this darker tone, and it just seems like there's some real mean, vicious mindset going on with the Ghostface.
I agree with
And
that.
yeah, so that's a kind of another, and it does play out through in the kills, and I think that really echoes again West tightening the screws. I'm going to do it a
Mhm.
little different,
Yep.
and this is going to be our meanest Ghostface that you've ever seen, and I think it is. So I'm glad Kill mentioned that because that's a great point.
Yep, absolutely. And real quick too in the chat before I give my thoughts, we got Rachel saying, while the kills are gory, especially Olivia's, wow, I find they maybe a little too over the top and miss some of the tension from previous films. She's going with a 3 out of 5. Okay, all right. And we've got Polar saying Olivia's was brutal when he smashes her through the window to display her body to her friends. Dark, so dark. Yeah, absolutely. There's
Yes.
no doubt about it. And we also have Hollywood Guy coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate that. Saying hello, Night. Was there an impression that there were 3 killers on Scream 4? I'm thinking Angelina. Any thoughts? Listen. Well, hold on. Let me say this, and then I'm going to come back to this Hollywood Guy. Check out my Why You Hate Scream 3 so you can get my full thoughts on Angelina. But I
Great
will
video.
well, thank you. I
Seriously,
appreciate
it's
that,
great.
man.
You guys got to
Thank you.
watch it.
Thank you so
You're
much. I
welcome, man.
appreciate that. So check that out for some full stuff on Angelina. But I will say this, depending on what we see in 7, there could be a lot of things that change. Which is very possible. But as of right now, and that could definitely change, but as of right now, I was going under the impression it was just Jill and Charlie. Okay. As physical Ghostface killers. Now that doesn't mean there wasn't anyone in the background, which is possible. And hopefully when we see 7, I'm just teasing, I'm just going to tease all this. Hopefully when we see 7, we might see, the whole thing sewn together in a really nice, tight bow. But that's where I'll stop with that. But definitely check out my Why You Hate. That was a lot of fun to put that together, and I think it does tie in a lot with 4, 5, 6, and 7 possible.
I think it could. Yeah. I just got to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Because that's a video that you don't hammer out in a day. That is a very
No.
How long did it take you to complete that? Went from, do you remember when you started? And I bet it was several days or weeks later.
Yeah, it was actually, it was about just over 2 weeks.
I believe it.
I toyed with the idea of doing it, and I knew I was gonna go down rabbit holes, especially with Ghostface. And
Mhm.
so I started the concept of it, you know what I'm saying? And I go through this whole process and stuff. But like as I was hammering stuff together and actually putting it together, it was just over 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I believe it.
it was easily the longest video
Mhm.
I did for the Why You Hate series, and they are
Yep.
usually, you know, pretty involved. But yeah, it was fun to do, and hey, man, I enjoy it. So
It was awesome. I mean, the level of detail, the investigative side that you went to at length
yeah,
is so cool. And and it's stuff that we've talked about many times,
mm-hmm,
about the whole thing, Angelina thing.
mm-hmm.
I won't want to spoil. I'm not going to spoil the video, but I just want to, I just want to tell everybody, if you're here and have not seen it, you've got to take the time to watch it. The level of detail is amazing. Night Maze makes some incredible bulletproof cases for things in that
Oh,
video.
thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks. I was
Welcome.
trying to do that, you know, and of
Hmm.
course, you know, and you do this with your videos as well, as I'm sure a lot of content creators try to do it. You know, the the talking bits of it is one thing, but then you're trying to marry that with the visual, you know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
that was the other
exactly.
part of it too, and trying to
Mhm.
have a little bit more of that investigative type of feel. But definitely it was fun. And Mayan in the chat, she put the link out. Thank you so much for jumping on that, May. And definitely, if you haven't checked it out, I would beg you to check it out. If you've seen it, check it out again. I really
Share
enjoyed
it.
that series. Share it out. That would be
Yeah.
if we had just 5 people that shared it out on their social medias, you know, that would be a huge
Hmm.
help to the channel and to this series, which is something I really enjoy. So thanks for that, man. All right.
Absolutely. You're welcome, brother.
Yeah. So, you know, with me, with the kills, you guys said it, and they're fantastic. I love the way there's variety. I love the scenes. There's a lot of tension and like Polar said, darkness to them. I got to go with a 4.5 as well, man. I really
Hmm.
do. They're just great. Again, and the Rebecca kill, man, that one really got me because it felt like, you know, Wes was, you know, setting it up with so much tension, you know, this dark
Yes.
garage, and it almost felt like a movie with a mini movie within the movie, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm
Wes
gonna
Yeah,
go
doesn't
with
man.
like
4.5.
agents.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
meta commentary on Wes's Wes's agent.
yeah, I know.
Uh,
And Rachel, yeah, they take forever to put together, but they are so much fun. They really are. And thank you for putting that in, Rachel. And I know you know what that's all about too, man.
yep,
Really.
she does
Okay.
too. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes a lot. It takes a lot of work, but it's fun, man. You know, I'll sit back sometimes and I'll just put on the playlist and watch them, and you know, it's
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah, man.
Okay, next up, we have got story. Okay, we got the story. So, Kill. When we think about the story for Scream 4 and how it's all put together and the way it's executed, what did you think of the story, and what's the score you want to give it?
Well, you know, it's like you're going back to the woodshed for the 4th time with the
Right.
same survivor, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's like, you know, the first movie, it happens. We're right there in the moment. Second movie, oh, you know, going to college. Third movie, Sydney's in hiding. She's
Right.
helping women on the phone lines and so
Mm-hmm.
forth.
Yep.
She gets pulled back in. This
Mm-hmm.
one, once again, she's away from everything else. Hey, stuff is going on in Woodsboro and your cousin's involved. She gets pulled back in. You know, so it's kind of like, hey, you know, the Godfather, they keep
Pulling me
pulling me
back
back.
in.
Yeah. But on the onset of that, it seems familiar.
Yeah.
But as the movie progresses and you see obviously the true antagonist and the reasoning for everything,
Mm-hmm.
that to
Mhm.
me makes it vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So with that being said, and the motivations and things of that nature, overall, the story of this one, I'm gonna give it a 4. Because we kind of spoke to this a little bit earlier. You know, it's not a revenge thing here, and it's a few times Ghostface kind of tells her like it's not always about you, and and things of that nature. The Ghostface wasn't lying. It's about
Right.
me. It's about
That's
Jill.
true.
It's
That's
my
right.
time.
That's right.
Yeah.
and once again, I think that's what makes her and what's Roy's
Charlie.
Thank you.
Charlie.
Keep calling him Rory. That's what makes her and Charlie so vicious, you know. So yeah, I got to give it a 4.
Okay. All right, Steven, how about you? What do you think about for story?
Yeah, great story. It's of course we're trying to figure out what's going on, who does it, or who's doing it. And when you just and I love that, the whole stabathon at the barn, and you got Gail coming out setting up her cameras, and then we've got the killer aware of the cameras, but they're setting up their own stuff. It's like, what a great story of how Ghostface themselves are making a movie.
Yeah.
They're filming everything, and it was just different. It was so different. I mean, Scream 2, yeah, Mickey's always carrying his video camera around, but this was the next level. This was not like that. This is next level. But the story itself, I love it because, again, original motive. We talked about that already. I won't go back to that. But when you tie all that together, I think it was a great way to do this after 10 years between 3 and 4, and Wes brings the OGs back with a fresh story, fresh motive, and fresh ideas. And so I think Scream 4, not to sound cheesy, but I think it's a really fresh movie. That's where they're going back in old school. It is. It's really a lot of new stuff going on here. So I'm going to give the story a 4 as well.
Okay. All right. For me, I think that the story was beyond interesting. It was kind of like, okay, let's see what's going on now. That time has passed with these characters, and now we have these new killings, and who could it be? That was one thing that kept, and I won't go to that category. We're not there yet, but that was another thing in the back of my mind. But the other part of it too, and I don't know if this was intentional, but when I first meet Jill and we see how she's depicted in this film, she's the new Sydney, and that's how I looked at her. I had that connection to her. I'm like, okay, can she do it like Sydney did it? You know what I'm saying? And Emma was fantastic. And maybe in a way, maybe that's meta as well. Wes talking about that whole trope of passing the baton, because ultimately Jill is not the new Sydney, she's the ghost face. So, one thing about Scream 4 that I've thought about, and I don't want to project any further past that for maybe some future project that I could be working on. That's just a tease. But, the whole idea of her being the new final girl, the new person to receive the baton, what Wes might have been just kind of talking about that aspect of movies as far as horror movies are concerned a little bit too. So that felt fresh, because of where it went in the story ultimately with Jill. I really enjoyed this film. I really, really did. When I first saw it, I was like, holy crap, he did it again. Not that I was surprised because it was Wes, but I was like, wow, man, this still is kicking. So I got to agree with you guys. I'm going to go with a solid 4 as well. From A to Z, I just thought that the story was great, and again, when you're talking about the 4th film in a franchise 10 years after the previous film, I mean, hats off. Man. Hats off. Okay. Now in the chat, we got Russell going 5 for story. We got Paula going for 5. We got Polar going with story is a solid 5. Okay. Rachel saying, honestly, I don't think that the story is great. Legacies aren't given anything to do, and there's no clear through line until Jill is revealed as Ghostface, which is so late in the game. She's going with a 2.5
Oh,
out of 5.
man.
Ooh,
Hey.
wow.
But
That was
see, one thing I could say, Knight, on that real quick is that the fact that the clear through line happens in the third act. See, that's for me, that to me, that still completes it completes it,
Yeah.
Like
we were faked out just like everyone else in
exactly.
the film, except for Jill and Charlie, of course.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. I think, but again, and that's what's so interesting when we get a chance to talk about any of these films, especially legacy franchises, because with legacy franchises, there's a lot to choose from, as far as your favorites or what you like more than others. And that's what makes this always so interesting, is the different perspectives, because the way I look at it is the same way. I think that through line was paid off, in that third act, but it was so good that when I watched it again, I was like looking at different things, and I was still like so invested to see how we got to that point. So it was almost like a new experience, several watches after the first one for me. I was like, oh yeah, I can see how they did this. And then it was like, oh yeah, man, Charlie and Jill as characters, they're really convincing. And so it was like a new appreciation for the characters as well, because now you know what's going on. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. Okay, we got T Parker that is going with a 4.5 out of 5 for story. Okay,
nice.
All right, let's see, we got Neems in the house. What's up, Neems? Good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, and I think I'm caught up. I believe so. All right, okay, so let's get ready to go to our next category. Oh, and Rachel was saying, I hear what you're saying, Stephen, but for me, it was too little, too late. She said, too little, too late. All right.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Let's see what we get for our next category. Ooh. Okay. There we go. Interesting. It almost stopped on a really interesting one, but this is great too. The it factor. So, Stephen, let's start with you. The it factor is just basically overall the entertainment of the film, how much you enjoy it, also the rewatchability. What would you say for the it factor for Scream 4, and what's the score you want to give it?
Oh yeah, this movie for me, this movie absolutely has the it factor. It is touching on all the things we've already talked about. As we keep adding up all those things, there's just one more layer, or another layer of why this movie is so good. And it absolutely, from my perspective, it delivers. It delivers in every category. And I think Wes was on a mission in this movie, and he did it. He was like, I am back, and here we go. And there's, like you said, Knight, the shackles are off. Here I am. And so I think this, as far as rewatchability factor, 100%. It's like, this is absolutely my number one sequel. It's my favorite sequel of the franchise. For me, it's Scream, and Scream 4 right there. And because of all these reasons we're talking about, and more we haven't gotten to, but yeah. So the it factor for me is a 500% rewatchability. I think it brings it. It does not disappoint. And I think Wes delivered a master. Now I won't say masterpiece, but a dang good movie. So yeah, it's a 5, man. And I know it's kind of hard to do a 5 because Scream 1 obviously would be a 5 in the it factor as far as the bar. But I'm putting it on par with 1. And people may be shocked to hear that, but I'm going to do it.
Okay. All right. Very, very cool. Kill, how about you? What do you think of the it factor for it, and what's your score?
It's definitely high for me. And my reasoning for that is I always kind of base the it factor question off of like rewatchability and things of that nature. And one thing I can say, and I think Craven kind of started saying it a little bit about Jill, even though, after watching it numerous times, I know she's the bad guy. She plays the final girl so good that every time I watch this movie, I'm rooting for her. I care about her. Like she's so compelling, and Charlie is so compelling as like the film geek guy, and he's just kind of, you know, he likes Kirby, and they're just so convincing that even though I know they're the bad guys, they do what Stu and Billy did in the first movie.
Yep.
You know, dutiful boyfriend, cool best bud dude that like I would hang out with. I would have hung out with Stu, you know. And if you can do that and do it convincing, not only are you great actors, you are really selling these characters. So every time I watch it, you know, I know that they're the bad guys, and it's like I'm rooting for them as they're being part of the survivalists trying to live through this. But then also when they do hit that switch, I'm still there because like, oh, this is awesome. I get a twofer, you know. I get them as the good guy that I'm rooting for, but then I get them, you know, I get them as the hero, and then I get them also as the Terminator.
Yeah,
you know, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and P2. I get him both. He's the savior, but he's also a badass Terminator.
Yeah,
and especially obviously with Chill, because she's the more prominent antagonist, and when she turns it on, boom, I'm still with her. I still kinda am rooting for her a little bit.
right.
You know, so the it factor on this one, I can't say 5, but I'm gonna do a high 4.5 because this one just does so many things different that you know, like I guess one other thing I'll say real quick, and I'm sorry I keep talking. The Scream franchise really does not have valleys.
Yeah,
they don't have valleys. I love Friday the 13th. I love Halloween. There were some dark days. There were some valleys. And guys in the chat, let us know what you think. And what I mean by that is there's no Busta Rhymes. There's no Nick Cage mask.
There you go.
I mean, seriously, look into your heart. And I really, everybody in the chat, do this for me. I don't ask for much. You know, Killian does not ask for much. But think about all the Scream movies. Is there something that's on par with the Nick Cage mask there, or the Cult of Thorn, or Busta Rhymes beating up Ghostface? Ghostface doesn't get beat up by Busta Rhymes. And Eric, I love you. There's no Jason Goes to Hell.
No
here.
Excalibur swords.
There's no Voorhees sword. So I'm just saying, really think about this franchise. Is it perfect?
True.
No, but nothing is perfect. But I'll be damned if you can't look at these movies and say they're pretty damn good. I mean, that's all I gotta say. I'm sorry. I know it was a tangent.
No, that's okay. That's all right. You know, for me, the rewatchability is a huge part of the it factor. And for me, it's very high. I've always had a lot of love for this film. So for me, I got to go with a 4.5 as well for the it factor, because I just enjoy this one so much. It feels like a Scream movie to me, and yet it does things that are different, you know, from the other three films, which is crazy. That's crazy to be able to do, because the thing about Scream, you know, it's interesting because a Scream film can be a lot of things, but it has to have certain elements, you know, to you know, for us to be happy as Scream fans. You got to have the mystery, you know what I'm saying, that whodunit vibe. So you got to have suspects, and you got to have people that are obviously going to be the victims, and you got to have a reason why these things are happening. It has to make sense in this universe that has been created since 1996. That's a lot of boxes you have to check. And I just feel like Scream 4 was able to cross so many T's and dot so many I's. And, you know, again, for me, the it factor, it's super high. So yeah, I'm going with a 4.5. Okay. Doom was saying, I love Scream 4. It shot up my rankings, only being held back by the opening. Okay. All right. Let's see. Who else? I know Steve's like, no, not the opening.
I'm like, oh no, come on.
And Rachel saying, I always feel very alone and not liking Scream 4 as much as the others. Yeah, you know what though, Rachel, I will say this. I have heard of other folks, not so much in the community, but just online or when you're reading things. I've heard of a lot of other folks that have issues with 4, and so I just think that's how it is. I've heard people that have had issues with 4. I've heard people that have had issues with 5, with 6, with 3,
Lord.
and even 2. Really the only one that I haven't heard a lot of nitpicking about this or that about is really the original. So you're not alone. You are not alone. Trust me. Okay. Let's see what we get for our next category here, guys. We are moving and grooving. We're going to be going to our 6th category. Oh, hell yeah. Look at this. All right. Can I start?
The wheel is liking.
The wheel is on fire. Hey, listen. And Rachel's saying, haha, thanks, Knight. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm serious. A lot of people have, things that they aren't big on with a lot of the films. It's so true. All right, but I'm going to start this one, guys. I'm going with a 5.
Yes, sir.
I'm going with a 5, and I'm not even going to blink an eye. When I saw this film, my jaw dropped. It truly dropped. And the reason why, and it's not so much, obviously when we watch a Scream film, you can always say, hey, you could go person to person, say they could be Ghostface, they could be Ghostface, they could be Ghostface. So it's not so much that I never gave not even a 1% chance that it could be Jill, but I didn't want it to be Jill. And when I'm watching it, I'm not overthinking it. I'm just watching the movie. And again, she was the new Sydney in my estimation. And Sydney was there to kind of shepherd her through this situation. And Nev played it perfect, as an older cousin, and Jill played it perfect. And when that reveal happened, I was like, are you kidding me? I just couldn't believe it. And then all the other things started coming to my mind as far as, bro, you killed your mom. What is going on? You know what I mean? So for me, I don't want to rant because I really could rant for another 5 minutes total, but I'm not going to. But I'm going with a 5. Kill, what are you going to give the reveal for a score?
I'll be really quick. It's a 5 because I did not see that coming. I can't even remember a horror movie where a legacy character came back in and helped the new cast, like Nancy coming back in Elm Street 3, and then turn to find out, Patricia Arquette's the bad guy. She's Freddy now. Like what? Yes. We've never really seen that before.
Right.
At least I haven't. And you guys let me know if you have. But yeah, that was just an awesome reveal and did not see it coming. So yeah, this is a 5.
All right. Steven, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be short and sweet. It's a solid 5, no doubt about it. And just like both of you, I was stunned. If everyone in that movie, honestly, I never suspected Jill. There was not a moment watching that the first time that she was in my mind. I was thinking of everybody else who's going to try to kill her and take her out. And so when that mask comes off and it's Jill, I literally in the theater was like, my jaw hit the floor, and I'm like, wait, what? No, what? I was like questioning myself, like, what? How did you not even think? It would completely blew my mind. And there's been some great reveals, but I have to tell you, for me, this arguably is my favorite reveal of all the Scream films. I think it's right there. I'm not going to put that in concrete. But I think if it's not my favorite, if not number 1, it'll be number 2 or 1.5. Let me put it that way. Okay. Yeah, it was a shock. It truly shocked me. It was great.
Okay. All right. So we've got another 5. Okay. In the chat, we've got Rachel saying one of the best reveals, Jill, coupled with one of the most pathetic, Charlie. But Jill is so awesome. She keeps the score high. 4.5 out of 5. There you go, Rachel. There we go. Awesome stuff. Polar saying, I wanted to I I wanted to throat punch Jill over that betrayal, but 5 out of 5. Honestly, did not see it coming. There you go. Very cool.
Yep.
T. Parker saying the reveal is a 5 out of 5. The best killer reveal of the franchise.
Hey.
Woo, there you go.
Yeah, man. There it is.
Russell's going with a 5 for the reveal. All right, man. You guys are not playing around here. We got Keon in the chat. What's going on? Welcome,
Hey,
welcome. Hope
Keon.
you're doing well. Very cool to have
See
you
you,
here,
buddy. Glad you're here, man.
Absolutely. Paul is going with a 5 as well. Okay. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have? We have hold on. Let me pull that up. Oh, there we go. We have Kinu. Kinu, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Saying I rank 4 a 2.5. The opening was pretty silly. The motive was the start of bad motives from there. Ooh, the reveal was the best part. Okay, the reveal was the best part. I absolutely loved. Seriously. Welcome to the chat. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. Absolutely. Okay. And I think I've caught up to everyone in the chat. And if not, keep on throwing in your comments. Okay, let's see what we have for our next category from the wheel. Oh. It won't reach it. No. Okay. Now, this is going to be interesting. Okay. So now this is not scored. Okay. This is just a quick talking point. But Steven, what would you say is the worst scene in the film, or maybe it's the scene that you like the least?
Wow. This is hard.
Mm.
I'm trying to think if there's any scene that I think is just doesn't work, or this is hard, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like, usually I can think of one real quick, but I didn't. First of all, I don't think there were any bad scenes in the movie for me. My least favorite, man, probably my least favorite was the killing of Kirby, because I really liked her character. So
okay, all right.
Yep.
Cool. Kill, how about you?
This is hard. I've been sitting here trying to think, man.
That's hard, dude.
I guess, okay, it's not necessarily that it's the worst, but I guess for me it was just kind of like is essentially when they get Sydney and Gail come to the movie club. It seemed like it was just a scene just to kind of get some exposition from Charlie. And I it's well, and once again, I'm really trying to find something bad here.
I know it's hard,
and it's not that it's a bad scene,
right? But it might just be something that you're not a big fan of for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, because like I guess what I'm saying is, it the information was necessary because Gail and Sydney needed to try to kind of gain the knowledge of the new high school kids and kind of see what's going on. But I also felt like that scene didn't have to be there at the movie club meeting and so forth, and like everybody's there. Like it's just, I don't know, it felt a little kind of shooed in a little bit. So and like for the life of me, I'm still trying to think of something else that like, oh, I don't like this, but
yeah,
I can't think of anything, so I'm going with that one.
Okay, no, that's cool, man. That's absolutely cool. I'll tell you which one was the worst scene for me, and actually, it's already been said. I'm agreeing with Steven, man. When Kirby got killed, I was pissed. I was pissed off. I was just like, no, because I really enjoyed her character so much. I think that was one thing also. Well, I won't go down that road because we might get that as a category, but you guys know I'm a big Kirby fan, and that scene prior to her death, I should say, was so cool. and just so nerdy and everything that I love about, you know, this franchise and about horror. I was just on cloud nine. And then when she got betrayed by Charlie, I was just so irritated, you know. So that's the scene I'm going to throw out there too, just like you, Steven. It just, oh, it got me, man. It got me.
Yes.
Now Rachel is saying, I think I'd go with the actual opening kill. Marnie and the other girl are boring, and the scene lacks any tension. All right, okay. And Polar saying, or maybe when the cops were creeping on Olivia. There you go. Good one. Good one. You know, I will say too, though, I think maybe when we got to the actual opening kill, I think I think that might have been on purpose, that it was kind of like it didn't overstay its welcome. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point we had gotten fooled twice.
Mhm.
And I think pacing wise, if it had been like, you know, the length and the style of the regular opening kills, I think it might have been, and maybe overkill is not the word I want to use, but you know what I'm saying? I think it might have been
Yeah.
too much. But that's just my quick thought
Mhm.
on it. Hey, Gene,
Yeah.
good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. I just want to make sure I catch up to you guys as much as I can. Okay. All right. Rachel saying, I hear you, Knight. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I hear you. I hear you. And let's see what we get for our next category. We've got a couple more left to score. Ooh, ooh, oh, there we go. Characters. Okay, so Kill.
Mhm.
When we talk about the characters in Scream 4, overall, you know, how they're depicted and so forth, what do you think of them and what's the score you want to give?
Overall, they're awesome. There's no one really to me that's annoying or kind of useless or pointless. I mean, Kirby is awesome. Jill is awesome. Charlie and his buddy, they're in it, but they're not in it enough that they make something go positive or negative for me. You know, they're kind of just, you know, they're just there for exposition dumps a little bit, or just to be more meat for the grinder.
Yep.
And then of course the legacy characters coming back, you know, you get to see the relationship with Dewey and Gail, and that was just very interesting, and how, you know, they're kind of going, and then of course Sydney coming back and kind of dealing with a family member that she knows, but not really like that, but getting to know her, and little kind of conversations with them, like when she tells her, like, hey, you know how some people say, I know what you went through, I know what you're going through. And it's like,
Right.
oh man, that's cool, you know. So for characters, I want to give it a 4.5, because
Okay.
I think everyone in it did a really good job, and I think Wes did a really great job of blending the legacy characters with these new characters, and
Okay.
they really kind of all danced well together.
Okay. All right. Steven, how about you, man?
Yeah, I like the characters in the movie. You know, the deputies. They had just a little sprinkle of screen time, but when they were together, I thought it was enjoyable. I liked them.
Yep.
I liked Rebecca's character. You know, the agent, even though she wasn't. Again, it's not a for me. Even the smaller quote roles, when they were less time, I thought when they were there, I liked what they did, and so, and of course, you know, the legacy characters, we know, I don't need to say much about them. You know, everyone was great. You know, the um, the tension between Dewey and Gail did kind of. I was like, oh, I would get a frustrated Dewey a little bit, because I'm like, dude, come on now, this is Gail, this is your wife. I mean, I get that he's the sheriff, and you know, you can't give this appearance to your staff and the community that you're just going to your wife with everything. That's not going
Right.
to work. So it made sense to me completely. But I love it when she says, I'm going rogue. This is what
Yeah.
I do best.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it was great. So she ended up still doing what she needed to do. And of course it all worked out. But yeah, but the characters that were in there, surrounding characters, Charlie, did fine in his role. Robbie, I kind of liked Robbie, the nerdy
Mm-hmm.
kid with the camera on his head. You know,
Mm-hmm. That's
he
right.
was I thought he was good. Trevor was just, I mean, obviously Wes wanted this guy to be unlikable,
Mm-hmm.
and he played that role well. I did not like Trevor, but I think that's how it's supposed to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll shut it down here so we can get to more categories. I'm going to say for characters, I'm gonna go 4 on characters.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Very, very cool. You know, for me, I echo a lot of what you guys have said. I think that it was a really cool cast of characters, and I think there were so many great standouts. Obviously the OG3, so that's already in the bag. But again, I thought Jill was great. I thought Kirby was great. I really enjoyed them. Rebecca was fun, you know what I mean, in that
Mm-hmm.
annoying type of way. And again, had an amazing death scene that was just
Yep.
so great. Um, Charlie was fine. Shout out to Marcus if he watches this. Charlie was fine. He played his role. But it was just fun. You had just so many great moments. So I would also go with a 4 for characters. I think that this is how, and I don't want to jump ahead, but we already did talk about 5. I think this is an example of how you can juggle a lot of characters and have the old school characters with a new group. And I think the balance was so much better in this film than it was in Scream 5. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because in this film, I felt like Dewey, Gail, and Sydney had weight. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Jill had
Mhm.
weight. Kirby had weight. And even to a little bit of a lesser degree, Charlie. So it's like they were able to balance all of that a lot better. So yeah, I'm going with a solid 4 for characters. Um, and real quick too in the chat, Neems was saying the worst scene is Sydney and Dewey's conversation in Jill's lounge. It was so awkward, laugh out loud, like they had a moment. And you know what's interesting? I
Hmm.
actually loved that scene.
I did too.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why. Because again, this is 10 years later. These 3 characters, the OG3, there's just so much history, in this movie universe. And obviously, like you were saying earlier, Stephen, you've got Dewey in this role, and you've got Gail struggling with her professional life and all of
Mhm.
those things that are happening. And here you have Sydney in this situation again where there's killing. And Dewey was always so protective of Sydney, like we saw in 2 and also in 3. And obviously in the original 2, but especially 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did look like there was that half a second of a possible moment, but I think it was still innocent. And I think it was very human and organic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
if things had worked out differently type of thing, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I didn't feel it was awkward at all. As a matter of fact, every time I see that scene, it kind of hits me in the feels a bit. So, but again, we all have different perspectives on it. But
Hmm.
I just love these. I just love the OG3, man. And
Me too.
I love seeing them together, and obviously the arcs that they've gone through. So, all right.
And not to jump ahead, but
Mhm.
some of those, I really wish we would have seen some better treatment of our legacy characters in 5 and 6, dude.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
No doubt at all.
that's a huge conversation to have, but yeah.
Yep.
Just wanted to say, like, after leaving the first 4 movies, things changed dramatically for them, and I just don't, not for the better, in my opinion,
Yeah. Yep.
because of
No,
the
I
writing.
agree.
Hmm.
Yep. And Polar pretty much saying the same thing. This was the last film where we got OG Gale. New writers have ruined her sadly. I
Oh
agree.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I agree. And by the way, I want to also say, and I can't believe I forgot, excuse me, forgot to mention her when I was talking about characters. But Judy, I loved Judy in this
Oh
movie.
man, me
FPD
This
too.
Judy.
the scenes with her and Dewey and Gale, and her and Gale type of thing, fantastic.
So good.
Fantastic. So Judy was another huge standout for me in this movie. That's right, Polar. When she was coming out of the shadows, and I was thinking,
Oh, bro, I
wait a
know.
minute.
Yes, she really is a great red herring, man.
Yes, Yes,
In
telling you.
fact, Knight, I don't know if you had the same opinion as me, but going into 5 when we did our final predictions, I had her as the mastermind
Yes.
behind Scream 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it would have worked too, because she was tied to the
Totally.
past.
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly what she was connected to 1. Because after what she says in 4, they were in school together.
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's like would have been such a great thing. And then the way she went out, they just wimpified Judy in 5.
They did.
They took all of that away from her character. It was awful.
Bro, it was a gut punch to me, because I think Marley Shelton is fantastic. She really is, man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I totally didn't like what they did to her in 5. And T. Parker also reminding us that, it's the last time that we see the trio together too, all together, on screen and so forth, So
yeah, man.
Yeah, sad stuff, man. That was another thing about 5. It's like, come on, you can't get them together before you make that choice to exit one of them. Come on, man. What are you guys doing?
They didn't even get a scene together, man. And
I know.
It's I'll tell you what, Kevin Williamson, if he'd have been involved with that, can you imagine what 5 would have been? Oh my god.
That's right. I agree, man.
Frustrating.
All right. So we've got 3 categories left, and we've got 5 choices to choose from. Okay. Let's see what we get. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Cinematography. Kill, let's start with you. Cinematography for the film, the way that it looks and so forth. What are your thoughts on it, and what's the score you want to give it?
For me, the cinematography is, it looks like a Scream movie. And of course it's definitely a Scream movie because we're back in Woodsboro. I guess, it's not that anything in particular like stands out. Like there's no stunning vistas of the plains and things of that nature. But just like when I look at a Halloween movie, does it have that vibe? Does it have, is it Haddonfield? Does it have that feeling of the neighborhood where Michael stalks and kills people? Does it have that feeling of Halloween time?
Yeah.
And this definitely has all of those feelings, the high school, the neighborhood, Stu's house, things of that nature, places where they go and reference, and so forth. The garage, we were talking about how eerie that was. So as far as cinematography, I think they did a great job with keeping that same tone, that same vibe, and that same feeling. So with that, I'm gonna give it, like a 3.5, which, it's not like it did something revolutionary or super complex shots of that nature.
And that Vaseline filter. No, I'm just
don't start.
I'm sorry. No. Steven, you knew. Come on, man. You knew I was going to hit it sooner or later, man.
I knew I was prepared for it. I knew it's coming.
Hey, look. This oh goddamn. Get out of here, Nick Cage. Look. Hey, so far this movie has been getting the pick of the litter.
I know, that's what I was saying too, man.
I'm gonna say, like, between this one and
no.
Oscar winner herself, Mikey Madison, people. Go ahead.
I would say between like this question and like worst scene, like, yeah, we're finally getting some tough categories here. So yeah.
All right, so you go with the 3.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Steven. Steven's good. Steven, what do you think about the cinematography, man?
I think it was great. Gil said it best. It looks like a Scream film, and that's what I want. And so, yeah, for me, it's a 4 out of 5. And the filter that Wes chose to use, someone I was streamed the other day, and I believe it was Destin that brought up a comment that I had never thought of, and it really made sense. He said, that he believes that glossy filter, the Vaseline, as you said, filter as we sometimes call it, was commentary on remakes and reboots of the time that were using that kind of look in their movies, this real kind of glossy movie look.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That is brilliant. Because I don't have anything I've ever been able to find from Wes talking about why he chose that. But I'm telling you right now, it makes me want to go back and watch some more movies of 2008, 9, and 10, that time frame, because Destin believes that it was meta commentary on other movies. And I think that's brilliant if that's the case. So that gave me a new perspective to consider, at least.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as the cinematography, it looks like Scream.
Yeah.
And that's what I want when I watch Scream. Whatever, I don't care what the number is after the name. So it's a 4.
All right, you're going with a 4. Okay, now before I give mine, real quick in the chat, T. Parker was saying cinematography of 4 out of 5. The high contrast, cool and stylized artificial look fits the reboot modern age theme.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, hashtag defender of the Vaseline look. There you go.
There you go, T. Parker. And that emphasizes what I was just mentioning. It kind of reinforces what on that perspective anyway.
Yep. Rachel saying if it was commentary, it was not made clear enough. That was that almost a joke? The clear enough? I don't know.
Double entendre.
Right. Now to me, I think that the film, it looks good. It looks like a Scream film. There's a couple of nice camera choices that I really enjoyed, like at the barn and stuff like that. And Rachel said unintended. Okay. Oh no, intended. Okay. She's quick tonight, man. She's quick. But I thought that there were some great camera angles. Some of the kills, the angles that they used for the kills, like the garage kill, Olivia's kill, and Jill at the end. There were some really interesting things. As far as my thoughts on the Vaseline, filter, quote unquote, the Vaseline filter, I was okay with it. I don't put it this way. I don't think it looks better per se than the first 3 movies, but there's that part of me that also thought that it was of its time, that really crisp look, getting away from a more grounded, and definitely not a gritty look. So I was all right with it, but I will say this: when I go back to all of the films, look wise, for whatever reason, I just don't think that it's above the other films. So for me, for cinematography, I'm going to go with a 3. I think it's fine. But yeah, that filter, I agree with you, Steven. I would love if I could ever find, or if anyone could ever find, any type of information on what the thought process was behind that. And if it was, commentary on the time, that's definitely very interesting and cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. All right. He trolls in the chat, tell him night. At some point, look, just like Tony Montana said, every dog has his day, so all right. Let's see what we get for our next category. We've got 4 choices left, 2 categories to score. Let's see what we get picked.
Man.
Oh man, I would have loved to have seen that other one. Okay, so we've got Ghostface, him or herself. So Steven, let's have your thoughts overall on Ghostface, and that includes so many different things: how he moves, how he's physicalized, the shots of him, his style, all those different things. What do you think about Ghostface in Scream 4, and what's the score you want to give?
Scream 4 is different to me, and you guys tell me if I'm forgetting something, but I don't. But I noticed in Scream 4, Wes made some different choices with the kills. There's not many chase scenes. Where, like, a lot of times in the earlier movies, we'd see Ghostface running over couches, falling over lamps.
Yes,
clumsy. Like those kind of clumsy. And even when they weren't clumsy, just running the chasing. So in this one, I thought it was unique because all the kills are right there in your face. Like, I think about when Robbie, now he does run out from the front door, the killer, to stab him. But Olivia, he's already in the house, so we don't get to see a chase up to the bed, he's already there. Just different things. But that has nothing to do, honestly, with the Ghostface himself. I just wanted to mention that as I was thinking about it. But for Ghostface, man, I think Ghostface was, as we talked about earlier, was brutal. They were mean and brutal. And I thought the kills were all really great, as I talked about earlier. As Ghostface themselves, I think it's one of the best. And a lot of that goes to Roger L. Jackson because we don't get to see a ton of Ghostface moving around. We do see him on the roof, right? Coming after Nev. There's just little snippets here and there. But since we don't get to see a ton of them with the movements like in the earlier films that we got to see more of, I still think they did a great job. The commentary, or not the commentary, but R.J.L. Jackson's the dialogue. I'm trying to say the dialogue was really good. One of my favorites of the franchise, honestly. And then we see Jill again. Now, she wasn't in costume, but the self-depravity and mutilation that she did to herself, that is next level that we've seen in no other Scream film. We haven't. Even in Scream 1, Stu and Billy stabbed each other. They didn't stab themselves. This is like next level, guys. And I think, and Jill's one of my personal favorite Ghostface. She's like my second or third, depending what day you ask. So I'm going to give the Ghostface itself a very high ranking in the movie. I'm going to give Ghostface 4.5.
Okay. All right. Killian, how about you, man, when you think about Ghostface in Scream 4?
I kind of spoke on it a little earlier on just how vicious some of the kills were, how aggressive and mean the kills were. And just overall, this Ghostface was very clever. I mean, Ghostface is always clever, especially when he's playing with his food. He or she is playing with their food, stalking and so forth. But I think because the motivation wasn't necessarily revenge, there were points where it was like, oh, this Ghostface could go after Sydney, but it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to yet. Like, so they're just gonna leave, and it's very interesting, and on repeat watches, you can kind of see like, I can't, I don't want to kill you yet. I need you for the final act.
Yes. Yep.
So it's like little things in there where they're just like setting up the chessboard. Okay, we gotta take the boyfriend out, but we're not gonna kill him yet. We're just gonna tuck him over here till we're ready to kill him for the ultimate scene that we're setting. So with all that being said, how clever at plotting, the planning, and just the viciousness, I'm gonna give this Ghostface a 4.5.
Okay. All right. For me, I think that the thing that you were mentioning it too, Stephen, with this Ghostface, he's getting down to brass tacks, basically. She, you know what I'm saying? And it's just boom, it's happening. It's very dark with a lot of what's going on. And there wasn't a lot of clumsiness, which I really appreciated, because I always thought, as much as I understand why that happens, especially in the previous films, because you're talking about high school kids, and you're talking about a way to kind of even the playing board a little bit. So I get it, but there's that part of me, maybe it's the martial artist side of me, that's almost like, come on, man, stop tripping over stuff. It looks like a Looney Tunes cartoon. So in this film, we didn't have that aspect like that, you know what I'm saying? And so he was a little bit more crisp, and I liked that. Roger was amazing, of course. I really loved that. I think Julie was mentioning earlier, one of my favorite, moments, when you're talking about the Olivia kill, she, I didn't say that I was in your closet, and all these different things. And of course, finding out that it's Jill, and it's like, wow. And just the levels that she went to for this carnage. I gotta go with a 4.5 as well, man. I just think that it was a great movie with a great Ghostface. all the way through. Ghostface in the costume, and of course the reveal. It was just like, you know, not the reveal as a category, but finding out who that person is and what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm going with a 4.5 as well, guys. All right.
Yeah. Nice.
We got Chris in the house. What's up, Chris? Saying, imagine if we ever got a hand-to-hand Ghostface that's trained, an amateur boxer, martial artist, etc. I know, right? I thought we were going to get a little of that in 6. You know, I mean, there were moments, but yeah, it'd be good to see one that could really, you know, like, bam, you know.
Well, we got one that was really good for shotgun.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true, right?
Because they were a cop.
Yeah, fantastic scene
Exactly.
too, man. A fantastic scene.
It
All right,
was.
guys. We've got one more category to go. We've got 3 possibilities: the directing, the mystery factor, and the final girl. So this could really change the way Scream 4 is going to have its score. You know, it really could go up a little bit or maybe down a little bit. So let's see what is going to be picked by the wheel.
Is this our last category night? Is that what you said?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh wow, this is it.
Don't do it. Oh my God. No, there it is. There it is. Woo. Hey, Kill. Scream 4 needs to go to Vegas.
Man, Scream 4 got the hot hand, baby.
It does, man. All right. Kill. Let's talk about Sydney in this film. Just in general about her as she's depicted in 4. What did you think about her, and what's the score that you want to give her as the final girl?
Okay, so I'm looking at this 2 ways here. This is the 4th time Sydney's gone through this, and Sydney is kind of like, I am so over this, guys. Like this, you know. So it's like when Ghostface initially contacts her, she's like, what? Like, come on, asshole. Like, you're like the 4th time. You're like the 4th one. You do realize my track record is pretty good on killing you guys, right?
Yes, it is.
You know, so she's kind of, you know, and rightfully so. The way Nev is playing it, it would fit.
Yes,
you know, it definitely would fit. So it's very interesting. But of course, the juxtaposition of that is this is her family member going through this now,
right?
You know, and that kind of adds a different layer on it. She's a different woman now. She's an accomplished woman. She, like she says in the movie, she's like, other people have made a lot of money off of my suffering. Well, I'm taking control of my suffering and telling my story, my narrative. You know,
that's right.
So she's a very confident, super confident, accomplished woman now. She is definitely a survivor, but not so hardcore and jaded that she's now like a machine and cold.
Right.
You know what I mean? She's a survivor. She's a battler. You know, she went through the hell and now she's on the other end. So as far as her being a final girl and kind of the way that they portray her in here, I'm gonna say it's a 3.5. And my reasoning for that, and once again, it might sound like a knock, but she's just kind of like over it, you know, and just kind of like really, and then we get some of that fire back in when she finds out who Ghostface really is.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you could tell it pisses her off. Like, are you serious? Like, really, this is what we're doing? Like, you went through all of this, really?
Yeah.
You know?
It's
all
true.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a 3.5. Steven, how about you? What's the score you want to give Sydney for Final Girl?
I mean, man, it's Sidney Prescott. Don't F with the original. I mean,
right.
I just, when she says that, I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, it's so perfect. And so yeah, she was great. I mean, in the hospital scenes, her fighting Jill, and then of course, you know, Gail getting in there, and I love the whole clear. Jill says clear, and then Sydney says clear, bam, you know, with the paddles. And you know, to Kill's point, man, this is a Sidney Prescott that has been there, and done that, and she's done with it. I mean, the fact that she runs into Olivia's house as fast as she can with no weapon. She's like, I'm going to do this with my bare hands if I get a hold of this guy.
Right.
And I mean, just that is not the old Sydney. The arc for her has brought her here.
Yes.
So I think it was great. I think Sydney was great as a final girl. And so I'm gonna go a little higher than Kill. I'm gonna give her a 4.0, a solid 4.
Okay.
Because while there was this balance between her and Jill, because that was the whole point. Because the film wanted us to think Jill was the final girl,
right?
So there had to be less. It had to be this dynamic. But I don't care. Sydney she was great. She killed, and she's a 4, dude. Absolutely a 4. Yeah.
All right. For me, I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying. I think that this was such an interesting place for her character to go. And I think it made sense. At the end of 3, she allowed the door to stay open.
Yep.
She moved forward. She was letting go of the darkness that she had gone through in those first 3 films. And so now in 4, like you said, Kill, she's an accomplished woman, a businesswoman who is utilizing what she went through as a way to reach others and to perhaps help others in a different way than she did in 3. That's a really cool arc for a final girl in a 4th film in a major horror slasher franchise.
Right.
It's really, I don't think people, we all love Scream, and I think sometimes, and I can say it for myself too, sometimes things kind of fall past me and I'm like, oh yeah. But then when I think about it, I'm like, you know what? That is really crafty. We have a movie with a lot of different characters, and like you said, Steven, we're supposed to think that Jill is the final girl. We're on board with Jill. But what was so crafty about this movie is they had Sydney be so linked to Jill as the shepherd, as the person that's been through it. And so in other words, she was able to be in a lot of ways parallel to the final girl. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was such a smart way to do it at this point in her life, in this movie universe. I loved her in this. I really do. And look, man, I'm going to go with a 4 as well. The only reason I'm not going to go with a 4.5 is because of the fact that Jill had, a lot of time in that zone as being the final girl. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we were supposed to think. That's the only reason I'm not going to go with a 4.5, but I'm going to go with a solid 4. And I thought it was such a very creative way to have Sydney be in this film and to have weight, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to what they did in 5, where she didn't even need to be in the movie.
Oh,
know what
gosh.
I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Man. It is what it is. But yeah, so I'm going to go with a 4. Now let me catch up with the chat a little bit and just see what we got going on here. Let's see. Rachel going with a 5.5 for Kirby, saying Kirby is awesome. She is. I agree. T. Parker saying the final girl, 4.5 out of 5. Sydney being at her absolute best, no longer hiding or running, but chasing Ghostface herself. Absolutely.
Yes.
I thought that was fantastic. And trying to save people around her. Delivers a badass line. Don't F with the original. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Let's see. Who else? Rachel was saying, I feel like I watch a completely different Sydney to the panel. I found her underwhelming in the film. Really? Like, it's like when she ran over to Olivia, that was underwhelming.
Wow.
I don't know, man. Now, granted, I will say this, and I, like I said with my score, the only reason I that 4 is my, the highest I would go is because, the story is projecting Jill as the final girl, and of course in that 3rd act, it all gets flipped around. But I thought Sydney, I thought she had a really good reason to be in the story, to be part of the story, as opposed to like 5, not to keep railing on 5, but 5 was like a glorified cameo, in my opinion. 4, she had weight. She's the older cousin trying to take care of her younger cousin, to help her get through this better than what she did. And I thought that, and maybe that's a family thing too, because I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that, I thought about, my younger brother or my younger cousins, like how would I handle that situation? And I felt a kinship to Sydney, because I would have been the same way. I'd have been like, hey, I want to help take care of you so you don't have to go through the crap that I went through. So that might be where my mindset is going. But I thought Sydney was great in this. I really, really do.
And can I just add on to that real quick?
Sure.
I mean, not only the Olivia part, which I think is a great question to ask. How can I don't understand how that's underwhelming. And then, and the other thing too, is whenever Jill is upstairs and Ghostface is running around, and she tries to protect Jill, so you get under the bed. Remember, she get high and says, "I'm going to try to lure him out." And so, what does she do? She goes out on the roof. Through the window, and she yells out, "Hurry, Jill, run!" So that Ghostface would hear that,
right?
And so that he's coming. She literally put herself as the bait, for Ghostface to come after her intentionally. Running across the roof, almost falls off. She grabs the railing. I don't know, man. I just when I consider all that stuff, I think she was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it too, man. Absolutely. Okay, and real quick too in the chat, we got Nerdy Kitty. That's a great one in the chat. Saying, "What's up, nerds? What's up? Welcome to the chat. Hope that that's awesome. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. Welcome, welcome. Let's see what else. Rachel saying, I also think that Sid should have died in this film, which is unpopular. Ooh, wow, really? Ooh, okay, all right. Rachel is not playing around. Okay, let's see. Doom Turkey saying, "Go off on 5 more, please." Well, Doom, you got it. I thought you were there with us when we did 5 the other week. Check that one out. We definitely had some fun with that one. Daniel said Rachel, she had a place in 4 as the target. There you go. Oh man, too funny. T. Parker saying Sid's arc in 4 is subtle, reclaiming her story and proving she's not the victim and doesn't get replaced. That's a great point too.
That is a great point, Knight.
She's not going to be replaced. I think there was, like I said, to me, I think that there were a lot of things at play with this, because again, this film is 10 years after 3, 4th film in the franchise. Sidney Prescott as a final girl obviously is as popular as anyone, maybe except for Laurie Strode. So I think that in this film, all of those things were in play, because now it's time to give away the baton. She's had her story, let it go, blah, blah, blah. And we were on board for that. But then it's like, well, wait a minute now, because you were the final girl, I want you. I want your spot. And so that's like, wow, what a motive. And then, of course, Sydney responded to that. So yeah, it's interesting stuff, man. It really is. No doubt about it. Okay, guys. And Nerdy saying, I had an issue with 4. It's all new people, and that's just weird. Yeah, I mean, I think that when you have a new cast, that's always a challenge. But for me, I really enjoyed the new cast. Yeah. Yep.
Me too.
All right, guys. So look, just to catch everyone up, especially for folks that might have just come in, we went through 10 categories and scored them. We went through the opening scene, the motive, the kills, the story, the it factor, the reveal, the characters, the cinematography, Ghostface, and the final girl. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is tallying up all the scores, and that will be the total score for Scream 4. And ultimately, that's how we're going to rank the franchise when we get to the end of this series for the Scream debates. This is how we're going to rank each film. And I think it's going to be just like we had with Halloween and just like we had with Elm Street. I think there's going to be some interesting spots for these films. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. If you haven't checked out our other episodes for the great debates, check it out in our playlist. We've had so much fun not only with the discussions and the panel guests and the friends, but also with the live audience. It's been amazing. So we can't wait to keep on going and getting to the end of this. Okay. And for all of you guys that are here, thank you for being here. Seriously, we appreciate all the support. You can leave us some comments. We can continue the discussion. We couldn't get to everyone's comment, but we can continue the discussion in the comments. That also helps the video. And also make sure, if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to Steven's channel. We've got the link. It's been in the chat. We've got the link in the description. And of course, in so many places on this channel, because we love Steven. Make sure you guys are supporting and subscribe to Craven Something Scary.
Thank you,
All
bro.
right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And May, thank you so much. May and Julie helping out tonight. Val was here as well. There's the link for the Great Debates playlist. And at this point, gosh, I think we have we probably have 20 something episodes, maybe 24 episodes altogether. So it's been a lot of work put into it. If you haven't checked those out, please do. If you've watched them, share them out or check them out again. They were really fun discussions and a lot of great folks that were on the panels with us and having some fun. So check that out and leave some comments. We'd appreciate that. So that is it tonight, guys. This was fun. Thank you guys for doing this. And
thanks for having me tonight.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, man. This is always a party when we get a chance to talk about these franchises, man. You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Always a blast. All right.
Yes.
So for you guys here, thank you so much. We appreciate the support, and we will catch you guys next time. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Bye, guys.